Hello and welcome to Essex by the Sea. I'm Owen Ward, exploring the Essex coast, finding out about the amazing and interesting stories it has to offer. If you're not already following the podcast on social media yet, do like and follow on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. We're also on TikTok as well for lots more content all about the Essex coast. For this episode, I'm at the county's only Lido here at Brightlingsea. Mick Barry is a trustee. Thanks ever so much for joining me.
No problem, you're welcome.
Now, the big question, Lido or Lido?
I say Lido, a majority of people say Lido and some say Lido. It doesn't really matter, it's an open air swimming pool.
That's the main thing, and it is looking stunning today. We've got two pools here, a slightly larger one towards the sea, a slightly shallow one as you come in from the main road. And on a day where the sun is shining down, it's blue sky, I mean, we could be south of France or somewhere a lot warmer than Brightlingsea. I mean, it's glorious today though here, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, and you know, there's a lot of hard work goes into getting the pool surrounds looking as good as it does, and the water quality is probably one of the best in the country. It really does look fantastic. It's been good little sun trap here as well.
I know, with the sun's beating down on us. How long's the open air pool then been here in Brightlingsea?
Well, it was opened in 1932, so this year's the 90th anniversary, and it was for up until the 70s. It was a seawater pool. It was tidal, and the water was changed every 2 or 3 tides, and people recall swimming in it with crabs and eels and all sorts of creatures, and a lot of people got very fond memories of learning to swim. I'm sure they're quite sort of rose-tinted glasses at the moment though.
So I'm just thinking about that. I'm guessing then there'd have been some kind of Slushies over there towards the seawater.
Yeah, there was a pump system where the seawater was pumped in, and then when the tide was right, it was discharged into the sea and replenished. And then in the 70s, there was a district council expenditure which turned it into a freshwater pool, and they built the plant room, a lot of concrete. It's amazing, not many people in Brightlingsea remember it happening, but it was in 1974, and it would have been quite a structural engineering feat, probably taken over many months if not years. And it is still pretty solid today. We've done tests on the base of the pool, and it's some of the best concrete people have ever seen.
It is quite a large pool. I mean, How large is it?
It's a 50 metres by 20 metres, so it's quite Olympic size almost. But it is one of the biggest. Most municipal pools are the size of our small paddling pool, about 20 by 20. So it holds 1,000 cubic metres. There's a lot of water, and we have got a plant room which has been refurbished in the last few years. We've added things like an ultraviolet water treatment system, which reduces the amount of chlorine in the pool. We've got an automatic dosing system. So we've upgraded, used modern technology, but retained, I think, the sort of historical flavour of the site.
What is it then about swimming in the open air, do you think, that draws people down here?
Well, it's the atmosphere. It's by the sea, and obviously just a stone's throw across the prom. You've got the estuary, and you can obviously swim according to the tide. But it's been in the open air, and people say, "Oh, the water's cold," and it's not, But cold water swimming is pretty good for you. It's coming back into fashion, and once you're in, it isn't that cold. And particularly on a very hot day, it's really refreshing to get in there and cool yourself off.
That was going to be my next question. I mean, is it heated, or is it as warm as it's going to get from the sun?
It heats by the sun, and it ranges up to about 23 degrees, about 18 to 23 degrees. A normal indoor heated pool would be 27, 28. So if that's what you like, then you can go indoors. But the outdoor experience for me and for all the people who come here is much more satisfying and refreshing.
The pool has had its up and downs over those 90 long years of being here in Brightlingsea. I mean, you've had flooding here in the past. I mean, that was not many years ago.
Yes.
That must have been a struggle.
We've had two tidal surges in 2003 and 2020. 2020, and they absolutely devastated the site. They needed full sort of electrical replacement. This last one, we've literally just recovered from that. It took out all the electrics in the plant room. It messed up the filters. The whole surround had to be repainted. We had to refurbish the changing room. So it was quite a devastating scene to come here when you saw, waist high water on top of the swimming pool, and it was obviously seawater which has debris in it. So it's taken us I'd throw COVID into the mix in 2020 when we were closed. So you add all that together, and it's taken us a good 18 months really to get to this position now where it's looking back to its best.
And it certainly is. I mean, it is absolutely stunning, pristine. I could almost say it was built just this last winter. I mean, it is really good to be here, and it is looking brilliant. But all that work is done by the local community, isn't it?
And the majority of it, we started off with a rescue plan in 2018 when it was the facility was about to be closed by the district council. So I'm a member of the town council as well, and we came up with a 5-year plan to rescue the site, and that was dependent upon local community support, because if that wasn't there, it wasn't worth doing. And we had hundreds of people come to public meetings, and then from there the first year we emptied the pool, stripped it, repainted it, and that was all done by volunteers. And the majority of work, refurbishment work and cleaning work pre-season, is still done by a very dedicated group of volunteers. And we also have a very hardcore group who raise funds throughout the year through raffles, quizzes, etc., and they basically keep us going.
I know recently you had a gig going on here. You had a band playing.
Yes,
is that right?
Yeah, we have. We've had a couple of gigs, and we on a nice summer's evening. It's a lovely place. The water gives it a sort of sense of peace and tranquility. But live music anyway is great. And whilst it was successful, the last one, it did finish with a massive thunderstorm. So we had a quick takedown and ran for the hills, as it were.
What kind of people do you have coming swimming here? Is it local people who use it as their local swimming pool? Is it day trippers that come into Brightlingsea on a nice day like today and sort of are passing by and think, oh yeah, I'll go for a dip? Or is it a mixture?
It's a mixture. I mean, we do accommodate good local swimmers. Or dedicated local swimmers. We have early morning lane swims and late evening swims, and we have special rates for children after school. But the majority of visitors are probably from outside of town, and we get very positive TripAdvisor reviews, and we can tell from our reviews that people come from out of county. We have people from Hertfordshire, Suffolk, London, but the surrounding area is well served, and it is unique in that it is the only open air public Lido in Essex, and so that's a massive attraction for Brightlingsea and for Tenrin and the area.
At the moment, you have sort of timed sessions. I can see a family who's just turned up with the inflatable donuts that are going to go in. I bet once everybody's in and the pool is thronging with people on their inflatables and that, it must be quite satisfactory to see.
It is. It's lovely. It's great to see people enjoying themselves and to see the facility well used, because if it had been closed, then obviously it would have been a great loss to our community. But for the many thousands of people, I think in the first year we opened as rebranded as a Lido in 2018, we had over 30,000 people in, and that was, I think we had a heat wave then. 2019 probably about 25,000, 20 COVID, 21 half open. So we're hoping for a lot of good weather this year and to get those numbers in, and that's a lot of people having a lot of enjoyment. Yeah.
That's staggering numbers. Brightlingsea is not a massive town.
No, our population's about 8,000 or 9,000. Yeah, so it obviously brings a lot of financial benefits to the town and to the businesses in the town.
What is it then? Because at a time when swimming pools across the country are struggling and some are closing, some haven't reopened from the pandemic, what is it then about the Lido that is clearly attractive for people?
I think it's just the whole experience, because it's not just coming here for a swim. I mean, the town has lots of other attractions. Right next door we've got a boating lake, we've got a fantastic skate park, children's playground. You have the beach. You can walk around. There's pubs and restaurants people can visit. So it's a lovely little town to come and visit, and the Lido is part of that experience. And if you're coming from an area which doesn't have an open air swimming pool, then this obviously is a great attraction and quite a unique day out. And we feel that we pitch the costs at a reasonable level. We want to encourage families to come. We're conscious that times are hard for people, particularly families, and we have concessionary rates for groups, and we're trying to make it as accessible as possible. We've just recently installed a hoist there to enable people with some mobility issues to get in and out of the pool. We've got first-class accessible changing facilities. So we are looking to embrace as wide a range of users as possible. And I think we've been quite successful in that in the last few years.
Well, the latest session is getting underway. People are turning up in their droves as we speak after the lunchtime break, and they're diving straight in. How deep is the pool, incidentally? Because I can see a young lad in there. It's sort of about waist height at the moment. Is he at the shallow end?
The shallow end, yeah. The shallow end's just under 1 metre, 0.8, and the deep end's nearly 2 metres. Yeah, so you can dive in the deep end, but we don't recommend jumping straight in from a very hot day into reasonably cold water. You just have to acclimatise and get in there.
And I guess with the two pools, actually, you can have the bigger pool that's a bit deeper for those that are perhaps more confident. But you've got the pool that's directly behind us that's not so big and not so deep, I presume.
No, that's mainly for small children, and we do have plans to keep expanding and improving the site. We want to get some water features in this small pool, and we're looking to maybe to get a cover on the main pool to keep some of the heat in, so that the water retains its heat overnight, and it becomes a better sort of experience for people who don't really like the very cold water. So
I presume then, because it's not heated, you're not open over the winter, and
no.
That's when a lot of the maintenance happens. So when is the pool actually open in the year generally?
Well, we're open from May to September. If we do the improvements that we budgeted for, we would hope to extend the opening season. And I think long term there would be plans to try and use renewable energy sources to provide some level of heating to just take the chill off it. But we have been to other pools that are fully heated, and just to give an example of our energy costs, I mean, we have to run a pump, 15 kilowatt pump, all 24 hours a day when the pool's open, and our electricity costs have gone up from 10,000 to 25,000 this year. That's our budgeted figure. If we were to heat the pool, I dread to think what the sort of cost would be, because we're not immune as anyone else to the changes in the in energy prices, and so we feel we've got the balance right at the moment. I think the experience is what it is. People enjoy it, particularly the youngsters seem to thrive on it, and we have dedicated course swimmers, and I think we serve in all users as best we can at the moment.
Well, it is looking very enticing, Mick. If only I brought me swimming trunks, I could have jumped in. But I mean, as the families that are turning up now, I mean, they're going to have a whale of a time. How much is it then to come for a dip? And what's the best way of booking?
It's it's an online system, which is what we had to introduce last year post-COVID. We had to have limited numbers on site, and we found that the system of online reservations worked really well. It stopped the queues, because when it was first come first served, we used to have queues down the road, and people come from all over, sometimes disappointed that they couldn't get in. But if you go on our website, you can reserve a place, pay. It's about £6.50 for an adult and £5 for a child, and I think £16 for a family ticket. So it's fairly reasonable for a 3-4 hour swim. And there's a cafe on site as well, which is does food and drinks at very reasonable prices. So it is, it's a good day out, and we think it's very reasonable, and we encourage people from all over Essex to come and try us if they haven't been.
Mick Barry from the Brightlingsea Lido, your trustee, thank you very much for inviting me down and joining me here on Essex by the Sea.
Thank you very much for coming.
If you'd like to help out by donating a small amount towards the creation of the Essex by the Sea podcast, then do check out the Ko-fi page for more information. The links can be found in the description. And to be honest, as I say, if only I'd brought my trunks, I think I'd have been going for a dip. But until next time, thanks very much for listening.